This is the News 4 Rundown.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the News 4 Rundown. I'm Sean Yancey. It is Thursday, February 5th. Here's a look at some of the stories we're working on for you. A walk for peace. A group of monks is closing in on the nation's capital and inspiring millions in the process. More on their long journey and the message they hope to spread. Plus, a local university is celebrating 175 years of education by creating new ways for students to learn, the new services the school is offering, and how it aims to preserve Black history. And then we are preparing for our coldest weather so far this season. Yes. The question is, how cold will it get outside? Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer is helping us plan out our weekend in just a few moments. But up first tonight, we are hours away from seeing a new proposed electoral map in Virginia, and it could be even more skewed toward Democrats than we previously thought. Party leaders reached an agreement on how to redraw the lines ahead of the 2026 midterms. If they can get voters' approval before this fall to approve a constitutional amendment in time. Now, this new map could create a 10-to-1 Democratic advantage among Virginia's 11 congressional seats. House Speaker Don Scott told reporters he expects the proposed map to be revealed tonight or early tomorrow. Last month, a Virginia court ruled against the Democrats' redistricting effort and accused lawmakers of not following the proper procedure to approve a state constitutional amendment. Democrats are appealing that ruling. GOP lawmakers in Texas, Missouri, Ohio, and North Carolina are all working on redistricting plans and creating new maps that could give Republicans the advantage in as many as 9 House races. Florida is also working to redraw the map there to favor the GOP. Redistricting in California and Utah is expected to favor Democrats. Well, that nationwide redistricting fight comes as President Trump floats the idea that Republicans should nationalize elections. He made those comments earlier this week on a podcast. He said Republicans should take over voting in at least 15 states. During an interview yesterday with NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Llamas, the president pinpointed cities that he said were extremely corrupt. He named Detroit, Atlanta, and Philadelphia, all cities with large Black populations that voted heavily against Donald Trump. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us now. Sahil, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
Let's talk a little bit more about the growing pushback we're seeing out there to the president's comments. As it relates to the Constitution and your reporting, what are the chances that the president could try or actually make these changes before the midterm?
Well, Sean, let me start with what the president cannot do, which is take over balloting, vote counting, and the mechanics of actually running elections. The Constitution clearly gives that authority to states. Now, the president says he wants to take over the voting, in his own words, without specifying exactly what that would mean or how he would do that legally. And even some of his Republican allies on Capitol Hill say that's not constitutionally possible. What the president can do is try to persuade Congress to set federal rules and guidelines around voting that states have to abide by. And his White House has been zeroing in on the SAVE Act, which would set nationwide proof of citizenship requirements for Americans to vote. Just tonight, the president is calling to expand that Republican bill and make it 3 components. First, require voter ID to vote. Second, show proof of citizenship to register. That one's already in there. And third, ban mail-in ballots with limited exceptions, like for military service members and disabilities. This package could pass the Republican House in theory, but it would be dead on arrival in the Senate, where his party would have no way around a Democratic filibuster.
Yeah, I know we'll be watching to see on that. We've also seen the FBI seize the ballot in states like Georgia. The president continues to falsely insist he did not lose there in 2020 to Joe Biden. What sort of impact could this have if we start seeing more situations like this? Even though the FBI is supposed to be independent, you know, the president, we've seen him use it, you know, as an extension of what he wants to see happen.
This backdrop is key context because it all comes in the midst of President Trump repeating his fabricated claims that he won the 2020 election and that he won Georgia when he lost it, and he has failed to show evidence to the contrary. Now, Georgia's Democratic Congressman Sanford Bishop told me earlier this week that he believes the FBI's actions in Fulton County are an attempt by this president to intimidate Georgians and pursue an authoritarian takeover of elections. And when it comes to DNI Tulsi Gabbard, the administration has offered shifting rationales for why she's even there. And top Republicans in Congress also say they've not been briefed on what she's up to. So that one really is a bit of a mystery.
Talk a little bit more about the president's immigration enforcement. His talk about nationalizing elections seems to target cities and large metro areas again that voted against him. Is that a strategy that's actually working for him politically?
it is part of the president's brand to go after parts of the country that didn't support him in one way or another. And a core part of his base certainly likes to see this, but when it comes to immigration enforcement, the strategy has not worked well for the president, certainly in Minneapolis. We've seen a wave of recent polls showing that Americans believe ICE and CBP have gone too far after 2 American citizens were killed by government agents there. And 2 recent polls also show the president's ratings on handling immigration sinking all the way down to the high 30s. Which is extraordinary given where they started. So it's really no coincidence that the president recently told NBC's Tom Yamas that his administration may need to take a softer touch, in his own words, on immigration, Sean.
We will be watching. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Happy to be here.
All right, here's a look at some of the other top stories we're following in the district. A new report from Democrats on the Republican-led Senate Homeland Security Committee found the D.C. National Guard deployment has cost taxpayers more than $330 million so far. The report criticized the cost and results of the deployment. It said it has not been effective in making the district safer. The report also found the deployment price tag is on track now to exceed $600 million at the 1-year mark in August. A bill passed by the House and now before the Senate could overturn parts of D.C.'s current tax code for individuals and businesses. In a letter to Congress, the district's chief financial officer warned D.C. would need to suspend the current filing season to update tax forms and guidance, and a process that could take months. The Senate is expected to vote on the legislation sometime next week. And after initially giving them a break, D.C. is now issuing $150 fines to businesses that have not cleared their sidewalks of all that snow and ice out there. The district issued 278 citations to businesses in the first few days after that big winter storm. But because the ice and snow was so hard to remove, Mayor Muriel Bowser suspended enforcement and forgave those fines. For now, homeowners will not be fined, but they're still being encouraged to clear their sidewalks. And the brand new stadium for the Washington Commanders is in the federal review process. Today, the National Capital Planning Commission reviewed new renderings and proposals for parking and transportation. Parking is expected to be capped at only about 8,000 spaces in a few garages. Metro hopes fans will ride the rails to the games. There is also focus on expanding the existing Stadium Armory Metro station and even adding another station. Maryland state lawmakers passed legislation that would ban cooperative agreements between local sheriff offices and ICE. They are called 287G agreements. They were named after a section of federal law. Attempts to ban them have failed in the past, but amid President Trump's mass deportation efforts, the legislation has become a top priority for Democrats. Maryland sheriffs, though, have defended the program and said they make their communities safer. News 4's Darcy Spencer has the latest.
8 county sheriff's offices across the state of Maryland have 287G programs. When a suspect is arrested, their immigration status is checked. If they're suspected of being in the U.S. illegally, immigration enforcement is notified and may take that person into custody within the confines of the jail. Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins, a Republican, says his 287G program has been in place for 18 years.
I think the ending of the 287G program, which is a lawful, safe handoff of criminals to ICE in our jails, it's a mistake getting rid of the program. And I think if things are going to be, it's going to be maybe much more chaos. You're going to see street apprehensions by ICE. We don't want to see that.
But Democratic lawmakers disagree. They say the programs make members of the community, especially immigrants, feel less safe, and they breed mistrust in law enforcement.
I feel very strongly that we are living under a dictatorship, that we are losing our rights. There are a lot of civil rights violations, that people like me are being racially profiled.
The legislation led to debate in the House and Senate. Republicans argued getting rid of the programs is putting politics over public safety. Democrats argued banning the agreements would promote public safety.
We have laws, we have due process. And in the state of Maryland, we won't be complicit in what we're seeing nationally, where Trump and Republicans have essentially unleashed on our communities.
It is about every single person who lives in this state and ensuring that every single person who lives here in this state feels welcome to live here, feels protected by law enforcement within their community.
Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, a Republican, says these agreements have been in place across Democratic and Republican administrations, and they work.
This is as simple as police work gets. I've been doing this 40 years, not having to reopen the door to someone who poses a threat to our community, who a federal law enforcement agency is telling us poses a threat to our community, and allowing that person to be deported is public safety 101.
Governor Wes Moore has not said if he would sign the legislation, which faces a final passage vote. Supporters of 287G say they're considering a legal challenge if the ban becomes law. Darcy Spence.
Just yesterday, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger issued a brand new emergency directive of her own, ending ICE cooperation for Virginia state law enforcement agencies through those 287G programs. Well, there is much more ahead here on the News 4 Rundown, including Tommy McFly showing off his Olympic skills. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Sean. I'm going to bring you the sport that your physical and athletic ability is almost as important as the fit you're wearing. And it's not figure skating. But we'll do it coming up on the News 4 Rundown.
And I am tracking more cold making its way in just in time for the weekend. It really starts tomorrow. Could even start with some snow across our area, but really it's about the extreme cold that works its way in tomorrow night into Saturday. Much more on that coming up in a minute.
For more than 100 days, this group of Buddhist monks have been walking on a journey of peace. Today, they arrived in our area, Spotsylvania County, Virginia, and they will eventually end up in the nation's capital. Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder shares that their journey is inspiring thousands of people and leaving them with a renewed sense of hope.
What these people are about to see will last a moment. What they're waiting to feel could last forever.
It's just so good. It's good stuff.
Outside of a fire station in Spotsylvania County, a crowd grew for hours. At any moment, the person next to you could have been from anywhere.
I came from Pennsylvania.
But they all came in search of the same feeling.
I got up at like 4 o'clock. I knew it was going to be about 6 or 7 hours.
Heads bowing in prayer over folded hands filled with flowers. Inside of the fire station, the monks are refueling for the next stretch of their journey north from Texas to D.C. Outside, flower petals line their path as people wait to be refueled themselves.
I came to get a blessing.
The monks came out of the fire station to a crowd brimming with anticipation. As they filed up Route 1, they exchanged flowers with some, and a fortunate few found that blessing they prayed for. Tien Nguyen hardly had words after the monks blessed her and her 2 young daughters.
I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like, I don't know. It's just every time I see them, it's bring tears.
For more than 100 days now, the monks have walked through countless communities hungry for something that's felt so scarce for so many lately.
I've been watching them since they left Texas, and it just hit really home to me on what they're walking for and what their meaning is behind everything, and that we need more peace in this world, and that we need people to come together instead of fighting.
They found exactly what they came in search of. So tonight, hundreds of people here in Fredericksburg will get an opportunity to visit with the Buddhist monks, but the Walk for Peace continues north tomorrow into Prince William County, and then it will end with 2 days worth of events next week in Washington, D.C. We have more information for you online right now at NBCWashington.com. Reporting in Fredericksburg, Drew Wilder, News 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be on the cold side no matter what you're doing, especially if you're doing some walking outside, because take a look at what we've got now. 31 degrees right now, dropping with the wind down to 23 for the wind chill. Actual temperatures around the area, we're not seeing a ton of wind, but temperatures are falling pretty quick. 25 Gaithersburg and Frederick, 30 in Leesburg, 27 in Manassas. So anything that melted today is all going to refreeze again as we make our way through the overnight hours. We're not seeing anything on the radar. As we make our way back to the west, you're tracking some snow making its way down, and we're actually tracking a system to the north that's going to continue to work its way through overnight into the day tomorrow, and that system comes right into our area during the afternoon tomorrow. This will give us a good chance for snow showers across the area. That's all they are. It's not going to amount to much. You could see dusting, maybe up to a ½ inch in some locations. Others might not see anything at all. The one area that we'll see quite a bit, though, is back toward the west. This is an area that has the winter storm warning in effect. A few inches of snow, maybe blizzard-like conditions back into the mountains of West Virginia and western Maryland. But for us, it is just a few snowflakes during the day. Some of it could come down moderately heavy at times, and then it's about the cold and the wind. It is going to be extremely cold, especially during the day on Saturday, and starting off Saturday on a cold note. That's why we have this extreme cold watch that is in effect for just about the entire area. Now, it's not in effect for areas like Fredericksburg or Leonardtown or even Waldorf, but you're still going to be cold in those areas too. This extreme cold watch is in effect from tomorrow night into the day on Saturday and then into early Sunday morning. The pink area, that is the winter storm warning farther back to the west for snow in that way. But once again, for us, it's about the cold. Look at these wind chills. 5 below in D.C. to as much as 18 below. Some locations could reach 20 below zero as we make our way through the day on Saturday. And look, even Saturday afternoon, this is 1 o'clock, and many areas are still below zero. So this is some extreme cold and the coldest day we've seen this winter. If you don't have to be out, it's a good idea probably just to stay indoors. Look where we are at Saturday at 8 o'clock at night. 25 on Saturday, 25 on Sunday, but it will feel a lot different on Sunday. Not nearly as much wind for Super Bowl Sunday. And then we start to see some rebound here. 40 degrees on Tuesday, 44 on Wednesday and Thursday. A little chance of a wintry mix on Wednesday, but a better chance next weekend. We're still talking about Valentine's Day. We'll continue to keep you posted. But for right now, stay warm, my friends.
All right, so tonight is the last game for the Caps before a 3-week break for the Olympics. And while some of the players will get a little R&R, others are heading to Italy to represent their home countries in the Winter Games. 3 Caps players will be in Milan, including our own star, Tom Wilson. Our JP Finley just spoke with him about his dream and now the reality of representing Team Canada.
Have you thought about the moment where you're skating in a Canada sweater and you see your son in the stands?
I haven't yet. I've tried to stay as focused as I can on my day job for now with the Capitals, and obviously we're playing big games. But I'm sure there's going to be some pinch me moments over there where you just gotta reflect and take it all in, because you know, when I was his age and a little bit older, it was my dream to be there, and now I'll be able to share it with the people I love most and my family, and I just feel very lucky, and it's going to be an incredible. It's going to be a bunch of incredible moments, I hope, over in Italy.
Caps goalie Logan Thompson will also represent Canada at the Olympics. Canada's first game is a week from today. Well, 4 weeks now, our Tommy McFly has shown you what it's like to compete at the top of the world in Tommy Tries It. Today, Tommy's trying ski jumping.
Hey, Colin, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Tommy?
I'm doing great. Ready for some ski jumping?
Yeah, all right. Let's do it.
I think.
Yeah, no, we'll make it happen.
Let's do it. We start off on a rollerboard.
Nice long flat back, good shin angle, and then trying to jump straight down. If you do it well, the board should stay still.
Ski jump is a whole vibe.
That's the right idea.
That?
Yep.
Hey. Unique skis, unique bindings, unique boots.
All right.
And the suits.
Perfect.
Fit check.
Yeah.
And no one really talks about the heights.
I guess this is the crux move for the day.
Or all the walking.
Head up, knees bent. That's kind of the cues. 3, 2, 1. Stay forward. Nice. I think you look good to go. If you're feeling confident, let's do it.
Any pointers for my first jump, Coach?
Yeah, you want to stay leaned forward and keep your head up when you land.
Lean forward, head up when I land.
Yep. You have to show some level of confidence and competence to be safe to do it. So, yeah, Tommy, he was, I would say, above average. See if you feel safe to try a jump from that next step up.
I feel like I can picture it in my head, but it's not happening on the slope.
There is more risk involved, and we want to make sure that you're comfortable and that I'm comfortable with your ability. I wasn't going to move him up to the jump unless I thought he could do it without crashing. Alrighty, get down there.
We're trying it.
If he gets hurt, I'm gonna feel bad about this.
This is by far the most intense Tommy Tries It we've done.
You ready?
I think so.
Yep. Looked like an ostrich trying to walk on ice. Tommy, he was, I would say, above average for the adult first-timer.
That was the toughest thing I've ever tried. Winter and summer sports, and I think you can tell.
Tried it all. That was the toughest, huh?
That was the one I was the most scared of. And I'm talking like winter and summer games, because we did this for Paris too.
Yeah.
Much respect, as always, for our Team USA athletes. But the folks who do this from the top in Lake Placid, the ski jump in Lake Placid is the highest structure between Albany and Canada. And they go up, and you have to take an elevator to do this. And then they shoot down and launch. It's incredible.
I was terrified watching you do this. The first time I saw this story, I was like, it reminds me of like being at the top of a huge, like, what do you call it? Like a water slide?
Yes.
Except with the water slide, you know you're going to fall in the pool at the bottom.
Yes.
You're just jumping in the midair.
It is water. It's just frozen water that you're landing onto.
It's a lot different, Tommy.
It's a little less soft than regular water.
So, were you scared?
That was the one that I was actually the most like nervous about doing, because it's so different. Like I've skied before, for fun, but I've never skied for the purpose of leaving the ground. That's a whole other ball of wax.
He said you were above average. That's a huge compliment.
I appreciate that. Love to see it. And when you're watching it, make sure you're taking a look at their outfits, because they need to be tight. There's like some controversy this year over some people being banned because their clothes are too baggy and different kind of stitches. Yeah, it's wild to think about all that goes into these sports.
So the fit is important.
Yes, just like in real life. Fit's got to hit. And you can make sure you check out our incredible Tommy Tries It Milan Cortina special. It's the opening ceremonies. Tomorrow, 7:30 right here on NBC4. We're going to do a half-hour special, and then we'll hand it over to Mike Tirico and Jumio Labanji and everyone for the opening ceremonies. Can't wait.
Everybody. Stick around. We'll be right back. Finally tonight, a major milestone for the University of the District of Columbia. This year marks the institution's 175th anniversary, and the college is celebrating the achievement by launching the new School of Education and Learning Sciences. News 4's Dominique Moody shares how this new program will help prepare the next generation of educators and why the launch is a full circle moment for the university.
What first started off as an institution for young black women with ambition to become teachers has since blossomed into the only public university in D.C. with more than 80 academic programs across 6 schools and colleges.
UDC was founded 1851 by Myrtilla Minor, who was basically an abolitionist. And so she recognized that here are these women coming out of slavery and they needed opportunity. And, you know, education, we all know, is opportunity.
Anika Burton is the interim dean of the new education school at the college. Burton says she's thankful to be a part of an institution that spent the last 175 years training the next generation of leaders.
When you think about what education in DC has meant, and to know that I'll be a part of taking us to the next level in that trajectory. So it's terribly exciting.
Those new heights include the new School of Education and Learning Services, with the goal of retaining young talent in the district, giving them the tools to be successful educators, and pouring back into DC public and charter schools.
We're really looking at it from a learning sciences standpoint, so understanding cognition, how the brain works. So it's not just about a standardized lesson plan that you're going in to teach, but really understanding learners.
A top-notch approach if you ask current UDC student Sean Scott.
I want to just give back to the community. There's a lot of kids that look like me, and I just want to, show them that, education is everything.
Scott, who also spends his time as a paraprofessional, says a new education program means the university can continue to cultivate and deliver teachers who want to be in the district.
New beginning for not only current students like myself, but for today's youth and aspiring educators. So I thought it was amazing, During Black History Month, we must not neglect that UDC is a HBCU. And having a College of Education to promote the importance of education in the Black community is monumental.
A promising mission of the past while still striving to aspire to turn potential into power. In the district, Dominique Moody, News 4.